Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Makana Man at YouTube with another Gunpla Builders World Cup update on the mass production Qubeley. As a reminder, it looks a little something like this. There is a significant difference between the main first three and this one. Quite a few extra scratch builds, weapons, different head, bigger binders, all that jazz. And my efforts is to use the Mark II, I think it is, I don't remember. Mark II it is. And modify scratch build and 3D components to make it as accurate to canon as humanly possible and depict the picture from the anime as accurately as humanly possible. We will go through all the changes I've made so far. The primed bits are generally finished in the way of scratch building, assembly and building, and are how I intend it to be. Besides a few touch-ups, I do want this model to be highly glossed to a mirror wet look, finish through polishing and buffing and whatnot. So there's a few pits or holes or damage or raised putty that needs to be continuously sanded, re-puttied and primed again. Some of these processes or parts have had this process done a few times and got a few more times. I've discovered this Mr. Dissolve putty is quite wonderful for getting rid of really fine faults where the thicker putties sort of fail to respond to. Last time we were looking at the torso and the head. The torso is significantly cleaned up, the holes cut out, puttied up and primed, ready for sanding with high grits of sandpaper and polishing. The head I hit with primer and there was lots of cracks and faults and holes and whatnot, so it's been puttied and primed about 5 times so far, and it's still not 100% ideal, but it is almost so close to being perfectly smooth and almost like the rest of the model kit. It's not funny. There is a fracture here and about 2 holes as well as across the nose. That is such little faults that are left over and may need 1 or 2 rounds of putty. For a matte job they would not be visible, but for gloss it will be slightly visible if you lean in and stare extra hard. I would like to try to make it as flawless as possible. Other faults that was throughout the body, completely gone. The chest piece, even though it will be a part of the model, has not been primed. I'm going to measure it up and start cutting the extra plate of armour that's going to sit on top, print it out, putty it up, cast it in resin and then place it on. So that's going to be quite a lengthy process. The actual build itself is close to being finished, but it's those couple of cover parts that are going to be very long-term work. The hand, not too much to it. There are little holes that are drilled where there was just dents. The same with the fingers. The fingers required quite a significant amount of cleaning with flash mark down the actual fingers. They needed to be cleaned up. The actual panels around the knuckles of the joints rescribed. The fingertips sharpened according to the anime pictures and reference material. And the hand was significantly cut short, magnetized and put in. In their position or the pose that this Qubeley is in, it looks like the hands are sort of retracted into the armour a bit. So I cut about 2 centimeters worth of parts and just really inserted it in there deep. Going to shadow and shade the inner part there quite black, so it should be quite effective. Everything else, nothing too special. The top piece has had seam has been puttied. Other areas the seam lines are not visible. It looks a bit funny, but when it's glued it's going to be clamped down. The seam or the panel line there has been rescribed, and there was these decorative dents across here, which is in the main Qubeley, but this one has been puttied sand a few times until these decorative detail has been removed. Last, we've got the binders. I'm not sure if I'm going to scratch build a new piece or just use this as a plate to put a bigger binder, but the binders are significantly longer and bigger. I will use the whole detail. I may even use these little thrusters there, but this piece I will not use in the final product because it's just plain not big enough, and using a much larger one will draw attention in the room to the actual model because it just does not look quite right to the Bandai release. People notice that the proportions are completely different and off, and would be something interesting to look at. The internal bit to hold it down is quite nice. I really like the proportions and streamlined shape, so it's going to be CAD for this piece to sit onto the new shoulder piece, or this to line the inner bit of it. The inner detail bit has had all the holes or dents drilled out. The polycap inside is removable, and there's a plate behind that has a little styrene strip to hide whatever goes back there. The little articulated arms up here has had the hollow bit covered with putty. I'm going to have to put on a smoother type of putty and sand that so it's not as rough. And with the main shoulder component, these little holes here has been drilled out and cut out with a ultrasonic knife, so they just add a little bit of depth of being absolute see-through. Besides sanding these arms, that's practically done until I start cutting that, and the CAD work is going to be happening quite soon. So I bought these kick-ass calipers cheap on eBay. You just zero it and you can measure as accurately as what you need. Comes with a battery, but the battery lasts for a few years and just change it and whatever. So I've drawn each section of this chest plate, not the part that I'm going to fabricate, and I plan on fitting it on top of this chest. So I've probably got a little too many dimensions here. Better have more dimensions than less. And hopefully by next video we will have a chest completely made up, printed, and starting the process of cleaning it up and getting ready to cast it out of resin. And hopefully it will be accurate enough in the die bit to sit on the chest that I just super glue it on, and on that piece will be nice and flappy, which is fallen out because it hasn't attached in the polycap properly enough. But yeah, that is the plan of drafting the components. Next video we'll actually have a look at the physical drawing that it's going to look like, the CAD drawing, the raw printed piece, and the process is starting to work that out, as well as how far I get further in building and modifying or small light mods in the rest of this Qubeley. Thank you very much for watching. As always, until next time, stay tuned for further content. I'll try to release monthly videos of this until we get closer to the actual competition in hand. It's going very well. I think priming a lot earlier on the finished pieces, checking for faults and cleaning up saves from rushing that near the end. So near the end I'll have all these finished pieces, a couple of pieces that will need a little work, paint and whatnot. Diorama concept's going to be very easy. There is a chance that this model could actually be finished quite early. Fingers crossed. Let's see how we go. Check out Facebook for further work in progress updates and other content I may be doing. 1 to 2 videos uploaded a week on YouTube, and again mirrored on Facebook, and all the other regular jazz and hoo-ha. Catch you guys later. And I almost forgot to mention, the caliper was found on eBay for around $10 to $15. So very handy tool to have in your pla plating and styrene work and whatnot. See you later.